So, hi, IWF. Today we're here with the very famous Linda Gassenheimer. Linda, thanks for doing the interview. We're going to start with you just telling us about your background and how you came to be in Miami and how you came to be in IWF.
Well, first of all, thank you for the very nice introduction. It's a long road. When I first got married, I didn't know how to cook. And my mother said, I'm not worried about you because you like to eat. So I think I overachieved a little bit. And my husband's work brought us to London and Paris. And when I was in Paris, I had to learn French, and they sent somebody to my home to teach me. And I had 3 little boys running around, and I wasn't learning anything. So I decided to take French cooking lessons in French. So I figured I could eat, even if I couldn't speak, but I did both. So I learned a lot of French and a lot of cooking. So I had lived in England, went to Paris, went back to London, and my friends kept saying to me, teach us what you know. So I was, giving classes to people. And then I opened up a cooking school. And then I decided I wanted to go further, and I wrote 2 cookbooks in London. And then my husband calls me once again and says, we're moving to Coral Gables. It was all his work. And I said, where is that? And so I came here after being out of the country for many years, and I didn't know a soul. And
What year was it, Linda?
86.
What year?
86.
Oh, okay.
And and how was I going to start my career all over again? Well, it happens that the food editor of the Miami Herald at the time had seen one of my books, and she asked me to write for the Herald. So I started writing for the Herald, and then I wrote another cookbook here, and happily it won a James Beard Award. So I got lots of book offers. And now, all these years later, my husband tells me I've got 36 cookbooks I've written.
Wow, 36. It's a lot of cookbooks.
But when you're working away and you're working away and you don't realize it, you just keep doing it because, I enjoy it. So I think that tells you how I came here.
And right now, what are you currently doing? I know you're still doing Dinner and Minutes for the Herald, and you're syndicated and the radio show. Tell us about what you're currently doing. Like, what is the day in the life of Linda Gassenheimer right now?
It's
or week in the life.
Totally changed the computer. That's my day. Yes. So I have 2 syndicated columns. They're on the Tribune Newswire, and the Herald picks it up. If you're a newspaper and you belong to a wire, then you can take anything you want off of it for free. So one column it's called Quick Fix. It was called Dinner and Minutes. They changed the name. They didn't ask me. I'm just the author. And it's called Quick Fix now, but it's dinner for 2 that's quick and easy. And they didn't ask me this, but I personally wanted them to fit the government guidelines for nutrition. My second column is Diabetes Quick Fix, because I've written 7 books for the American Diabetes Association. I had written the original recipes for the South Beach diet. So because of that, the ADA asked me to write for them. So that's the 2 columns. And then, as you know, I had radio program on NPR and a couple of other radio stations, but now I'm doing podcast every week. So it's Food, News, and Views podcast. And I'm finding that.
So I can find it under podcast, Food, News, and Views.
Yes, or just Linda Gassenheimer podcasts. Amazon Music contacted me, said, can we put your podcast up? I said, it's not music. And they said, that's all right, we want it. So I said, fine, because usually you have to pay Amazon to be on. So yes, it's everywhere. And I'm finding that because people don't listen to their radio unless they're in the car generally, the podcast is really becoming very popular. So that's what I do.
Wow, I just learned that. I didn't know you were onto podcasts. Tell us how you relate with the Miami community beyond your profession, beyond the podcast and the columns.
Okay, well, I'm on the board of Funding Arts Network, which I think is important because they give funding to the arts, and I feel the arts are so important for for our civilization to enjoy life a little bit. And the other thing is International Women's Forum. I get to meet people from all over, and it's just a delight to be part of that because I can meet people who are not cooks.
And you're the former president, in fact, was the president when I was invited to be a member. So I always really appreciate you for that. Tell us what you like most about being part of IWF.
Well, you know, I joined many, many years ago. Adrian Arsht actually invited me to become an, I had just come from Europe. I didn't know what it was, but it's been so wonderful because I've met so many wonderful friends. And also it's a global community. And this is what's so important about it. You get to meet people no matter where you go. You can find somebody who's an IWF member. Also, I feel that if you spend the time and effort to go to some of the conventions, you get to see a country from the people who actually live there. And we've had some wonderful, wonderful treats traveling that way.
Yeah, me too. Huge fan. Tell us what advice you would give your younger self.
Oh, do you have time? I've always said, and I'm not following my advice right now either. I think I should have spent more time for me. You know how it is. You get so busy between family, children, your career, and there's so much going on that you don't take enough time to just sit and relax and enjoy life a little more. And I'm trying to do that.
Good advice. Tell us one fact about you we could not find on the internet.
I don't know. There's a lot on the internet. Did you know that I used to be the executive director of a chain of gourmet grocery stores here in Miami called Gardeners?
Oh, I did not know that. I loved Gardeners, so I'm sorry to see it not open anymore.
Right.
That's
well,
a
what happened for me, the person who took it over from her father didn't know anything about it, and she asked me to help them. But what it did for me is I've been writing from the consumer's point of view, and I still do. But it gave me the idea from the retailer's point of view. And they sent me all over the United States looking at specialty stores. And I got to really understand how we get our food, where we buy it, how the stores produce it for us. So it gave me a full picture of the food scene.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, two quick fun questions. What book or podcast are you recommending now, aside from your own, of course?
Oh, and I was going to say there's only one podcast I can recommend. But the other thing is I belong to a book club, and we've read some wonderful books. And one we read just recently was called Grant, and it was about the President Grant. And I had originally been a history major in college, and I always thought General Grant was general anarchy. But I got to learn so much about him and the Civil War, and I learned about Abe Lincoln, Honest Abe, because they were able to find the original letters back and forth, which gave me a whole total look at history. Another book is it's called Demon Copperhead, and that is an amazing book because it really gave me an inside look at young people who have nothing left in their life, and we don't really realize what these homeless children are going through, how they get into drugs. This book gets into their head. So I thought that was very interesting.
Okay, good. I'm always writing down whatever people are recommending. So last question, if you were in charge of the playlist, what song would be playing next?
Uh-oh. Well, I'm trying to be politically correct. Well, I love ABBA.
Okay.
And
who doesn't? And the Stockholm Conference was amazing.
Exactly. Dancing Queen, whenever you hear it, don't you want to dance?
Yes, I do.
And also, I interviewed Bob Marley's music. I interviewed his mother, Mother Booker, and she wanted to produce all her recipes. And she told me his whole life story from the mother's point of view. And she told me that, what happened to him. And this wonderful talent died too young. But I love his music.
Yeah, agreed. Well, thank you, Linda. This was a great interview. I'll see you soon.
Well, thank you so much. Love talking with you.
Bye.